Oh, hi. Welcome back. Today we're working on this fucking thing again, and we're going to figure out why it's burning oil. We can't fix it yet, but we're going to figure it out at least. So stick around. Step one, we're going to pull this valve cover off. This is the one we can easily access, and we're going to try to remove a valve spring and retainer so we can look at the valve stem seal. We're pretty sure that's where it's leaking from. I want to look at it and know that that's where it's leaking from before I order parts. Because we were also pretty sure the other day that it was a coolant issue. And it turned out to definitely not be a coolant issue. I swear I make the easiest things look difficult. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn the motor over until both of these valves here are closed. That'll be on the compression stroke. And then we will make a special little tool, and I'll show you how to do that. But first things first, we need the right socket for that. I think it's a 16 and a breaker bar. Got some spark plugs out, so it should be slightly easier to turn than normal. Okay, here we go. I think that's the intake valve opening. Compression stroke should be the next stroke. That was way harder than it had to be. We're gonna find a better method for doing that later. Okay. I'm gonna pull these retainers off. I'm going to try to leave the locks in the same place, so hopefully when we put it back together we won't have to really adjust it much, although we should probably readjust them anyway. We've got a parts tray. We have our parts tray. Push rods out just because. All right, now comes the part where we make a tool. All right, here's what we're using. Is a broken-ish wrench. I don't know exactly why I cut it in half. It was many years ago, but basically the goal of it is we're going to drill a hole through it. Let me show you. We're going to drill a hole through it, and we're going to use this end of it here to actually open the or push down and compress the valve spring, and then we're going to be able to take the retainer off. You got to be careful when you do this. I'll tell you more about that later, but for now we're going to try to grind a nice flat spot here, and then we're going to mark it. We're going to take it over to the car and mark it where we're going to want to drill our hole, and then we'll punch it and we'll drill it out. So, but for right now we're just going to grind it nice and smooth and flat on the top part, so that when we mark it we can see really clearly where we've marked. Okay. Not bad. Back over to the car for a second. Okay. So now what we're going to do, we're going to set that right there on the actual valve. And then we're going to mark with a Sharpie, which is nowhere near where we ground, approximately a good arc for where we're going to put our hole. Actually, we're probably going to want to move it back a little bit so we have a lot of room to do everything there. Okay. There we go, there's our marks. We're going to try to drill right between them to the width of that stud. As always with steel, when you're drilling, you're going to do low speed, high pressure. Also a good idea, adjust your table so you have as little travel before you hit your material as possible. You don't have to do that, it's just a good idea. And you know, be safe. here we go. This is not working. I mean, we're making very, very slow progress. So we're going to switch to a slightly smaller bit. Try to remove a little bit less material. But we're going to come back to that bit later. This is the right size. Alright, this is not going to work. I mean, we're getting somewhere, but it's going to take forever. Plan B. Alright, Plan B includes this fucking thing. So this is essentially the same tool, but a lot more rudimentary. Got ourselves a rocker arm here, welded to two pieces of steel with a railroad tie in between them. And it does the same thing, just this is the billy club version of that other tool we were trying to make, whereas that was like, I don't know, like a pocket taser. So we're gonna pull, oh, we can't pull that port out. We're looking to make sure this actually goes over the valve stem or the rocker stud. And if it does, then we'll use this. Let's see if this fits over the stud. I'm hoping it will. I'm not 100% sure. Alright, this is not going to work. So now we have to go to Plan C, because this won't fit over the stud. Give me a minute. Alright, Plan C. We're back with the billy club, but we knocked the little retainer thing in there out. So now we can put a regular little keeper on there and it'll work just fine. We're definitely going to find a better method to do this before we do it on all the valves, but we just want an answer today. So we can either keep looking or we can order replacement parts. So, yeah, because this is absurd. That's why I didn't want to use this to begin with, because while the billy club is effective, it's quite cumbersome. Okay, next thing we got to find is our compression test kit, and we've got to put compressed shop air to that cylinder to hold the valves shut so that when we pull the keepers out, the valves don't drop. So we're going to go do that. Okay, we have returned. Just need to fish this thing in there where the spark plug goes. Some type of which way. Wow, that's really an obnoxious angle. I can't see it, I can't feel it. Perfect. It's exactly what you want. Flying blind. Like Monica Lewinsky. I don't think she ever flew anything. Unless Richard Nixon's dick counts as a plane. Got that little fucker threaded on in there. Nice and snug. Throw some shop air to it. Cry when it blows off the radiator cap. That's pretty good. Leaking into the crankcase a little bit, but that's acceptable. Alright. Oh. Opened the valve. Not ideal. We have to grind on this tool a little bit. Yep. Yep, that's not gonna work. Watch out. Whew. Okay. Back to the grinder.
Billy Club modification complete. All right, we're gonna do round 17 of Plan C. Get our Dugenheimer back on there. A little nervous because this thing is heavy enough that if I just drop it, I suspect I could probably bend and or break this stud, which would not be ideal. Oh, shit. Parts in parts trays, people. Parts in parts trays. Okay, we're gonna hook up the shop air again. And we're at least part of the way up on the compression stroke, so if it does drop the valve, we are hoping the piston will be high enough up in the bore that it will catch the valve before it falls all the way out. That's actually what's gonna happen. Okay. Let's see if we can get these retainers out of there. Okay. Alright, let's get you in there and show you. It is hard to see. It's hard to see. It looks to me like that valve seal has been smacked a million times by the bottom of the retainer. So it looks like this thing here has run into it a number of times. All right, let's get this seal out of here and see how it looks. Feels tight. It's hard to say. Yeah, I think these are hitting. Let's get my calipers and do some measurements. Let's stick this back on there and figure out the max height of this. We know the installed height of the springs. We could actually just measure it on the other one, and we could measure the thickness of this. And we could do some math with the lift of the cam and figure out if we're actually having contact issues. Let's get some measurements here. Okay, what are we reading here? Can't read that through the phone, but that's what it is. I stand under the light here to read it. It is 0.81 inches from the bottom of the valve seat. 0.810 inches. And then let's go ahead and measure the installed height of the spring. Yeah, this will not be a super accurate measurement, but it might be close enough for us. Let's put it back here. And I'll try to show you guys on the bench like what I'm looking at here. All right, we got our measurements. It is time now to go inside and to do some math. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the retainer on here. Because we are pretty much done for the day at this point. I believe we found our issue. If not, we will keep looking. You don't want to reassemble something until we know we found our issue. So we're going to hold the retainer up like that. I'm going to disconnect the shop air. Watch yourself. That was loud. And then we can close the valve, and the retainer will keep the valve from falling down in the cylinder. All right, now we're going to throw the valve cover back on. Put our T-handles back on. And I have a feeling we're going to end up putting umbrella valves in this, or umbrella seals in this thing. And I have a feeling that's going to fix our issue. We're probably going to need a fresh set of spark plugs too, because these are all really poorly oil soaked, or badly oil soaked. Really well oil soaked, I guess, is the right way to put it. That's not going to pop back on happily. It did. Okay, we're done for now. Time for some math. All right, I'm going to pause the video for a second and explain precisely what we're measuring and why. This represents the valve guide that the exhaust valve rides in. This right here represents the exhaust valve as well as the retainer and keeper. All of these parts move together as one assembly while the engine's running, so it's all just one thing. This right here is our valve spring. It will compress as the valve opens, and then it'll spring back shut as the valve closes. This right here represents the valve stem seal we currently have installed in the car. It is a positive stop style valve stem seal. That'll be important later. We took a bunch of measurements just now. The measurements add up to tell us the distance between the bottom of the valve retainer right here and the top of the valve stem seal right here. This distance comes out to 0.520 inches. Now, when we compare that with the valve lift that our camshaft has, we find our issue. The valve lift of our camshaft for the exhaust valve is 0.542 inches. This means that when the exhaust valve is fully open, the bottom of the valve retainer right here not only makes physical contact with the top of the valve stem seal right here, it actually compresses the seal by 22 thousandths of an inch. That may not sound like a lot, but it's more than enough to prevent the seal from actually sealing. Now what we're going to do to fix it is we're going to replace the valve stem seal with a different style of seal. We're currently using what's called a positive stop seal. It basically sits on the valve guide, around the valve guide, and goes all the way down as far as it can. We're going to switch to an umbrella type seal, which works a little bit differently. The umbrella seal actually rides on the valve as it goes up and down, but instead of wiping the oil off the valve, it actually just deflects the oil away from the stem of the valve. This way it doesn't ever land on the valve stem itself, and it can't actually go down into the combustion chamber. This type of seal is generally a little bit less effective than the positive stop style, but it will be more effective than what we have currently, given that the one we have in there doesn't work at all. It will also give us more clearance so the valve can still open all the way and it won't be crushing the valve stem seal. So we don't have any parts here today to fix this, but we should get some soon. So that's pretty much it for now. Hurry up, Scott. In the event that you are invariably confused as to what happened and where the Camaro went on screen, we figured out what was wrong with it. The valve stem seals are improper and are hitting the bottom of the retainer. And we ordered the correct parts, but they won't be here for several days. So we took the time to do some maintenance and some just thorough visual inspection on the daily car. Make sure it's not going to break on us while we're driving it for the next week or so. All right, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you learned something, post a comment. If you have a question, keep it to yourself. I don't want to know. But thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.